To the Batmobile.
Think you've seen every Diecast Batmobile out there? Well, I did too. Until I discovered these two Batmobiles that don't come from TV or movies. Stick around and find out what Batcave these two diecasts came from.
In the model car vault. The model car vault.
Hey guys, I'm Rick, and if you've followed my channel for a while, you know that I'm a TV and movie diecast car collector. I've got groups of cars from Dukes of Hazzard, Back to the Future, James Bond, where it's never just one car, it's a whole lineup. And Batmobiles are the same thing. I've got Batmobiles from the original TV show and most of the films. What I never realized though was that there were Batmobile diecasts made from the comic books too. One day I'm scrolling through Marketplace and I see something labeled 1940s DC Comics Batmobile. My first thought was, okay, it's probably just a toy. There are tons of Batmobile toys. Then I noticed three things. It was Corgi, it was diecast, and it was 1/18 scale. I literally said, holy Batmobile! So I picked it up right away. But then I discovered there was a 2000 DC Comics version from the same Corgi line as well. And of course, I had to have that one too. They're both easy to find and reasonably priced too. I picked up the 1940s Batmobile on Marketplace for $60, and I got the 2000 version Batmobile on eBay for $90. So pretty good score for both of them. Corgi made a bunch of Batmobiles in smaller scales too. But in 1/18, they only made these two versions. And today, we're unboxing and reviewing both of them. They both share the same branded boxes, with the main differences being the Batman comic book image of their eras. In the back of the boxes, well, they both show the Batmobile's features. For the 1940s Batmobile, it shows that we have an opening hood with detailed engine and an opening trunk with Batman's weaponry inside. For the 2000 Batmobile, it shows it's got a translucent hood with rotating front turbine gear, removable cockpit top, and a rotating rear engine gear. And they both seem to have been released in 2005. Alright, let's start with the 1940s Batmobile. Getting it out of the box seems to be pretty straightforward. The packaging is actually in really good condition for something that's about 20 years old. So the ties that usually go over the car seem to be undone or broken off because they were brittle from, I guess, a long time being there. Underneath, we don't see any screws. Looks like we're gonna have to take off the tape and look what's inside. And oh boy, just as I feared, the car is tied down with these really annoying ties that are really all knotted up and very hard to get undone. So I'm just gonna clip them off because I don't plan on putting this back in the box anytime soon. So we're just gonna snip them off, get it out, and yep, what's even more annoying is that the ties go around the wheels, so I gotta get those out very carefully. All right, there's the last one. All right, and here it is, the 1940s Batmobile. Right away, you get that exaggerated vintage roadster vibe. Big, bold front end and a much narrower rear, and a very classy overall look. So this design is apparently inspired by the Batmobile that appeared in Detective Comics number 37 in March of 1940. Now, I say inspired because, well, it's not an exact replica. There was only really one reference image in the comic book, so Corgi definitely took some creative freedom here. But what's cool is that Corgi put a lot of effort in making this diecast much more detailed than what you saw in the comic book version. So let's talk about some of those details. You've got bat symbols everywhere. I mean, on the wheels, on the body, and even worked into the interior. The front grille looks fantastic and feels very period correct. Pop the hood and you get a fully detailed engine bay. There's a lot going on in there, and yeah, even another bat symbol. Around the back, the trunk opens to reveal Batman's weapons and gadgets. And check out that iconic utility belt. Now the question is that a spare belt, or did Batman keep it in the trunk because, well, there's no way he can wear it while sitting in this thing? Let me know what you think. Speaking of sitting, inside the cockpit, the detail is simple but effective. You've got gauges, a bat wheel, bat symbols on the dash, bat symbols on the seats, and even the shifter right between the seats. I also really love these exposed side exhausts, which were common on 1930s roadsters like the Auburn Speedster. Very cool touch. Underneath, there's no detail other than the branding and the trademarks, but you do get this huge and awesome Batman that's molded into the base. The doors don't open, but honestly, Batman and Robin would probably just jump in anyways. So construction-wise, this is mostly die-cast metal with plastic used for the interior and of course the engine components, and you've got rubber tires. So this is actually the more common, or I guess standard version of this Batmobile, but there is a more collectible version of this that was limited to 4,000 units. That one came with upgraded packaging and included a Batman figurine that sat inside the cockpit. Now, as far as I've been able to research, the car itself is exactly the same. Same details, same features, just packaged differently. Either way, this is a fantastic and very cool 118 die-cast Batmobile. Alright, this is a great time to smash that like button and subscribe if you like what you're seeing so far. Alright, next up is the 2000 DC Comics Batmobile. Alright, this one I honestly don't know if it was ever taken out of the box. I don't see any tie straps above the car, but I guess we'll find out when we get it out. Alright, looks like it's the same packaging, same process here. The bottom looks like it was never opened. And yep, same tie wraps that have never been undone, so this car has definitely never been taken out. So let's get these annoying ties clipped off. And here we go. Got the little plastic protection we're going to take off. And so yes, you got to be very careful when you're taking these ties off because they're wrapped around the wheels, so you want to be careful not to tug at them too much and risk breaking the wheel. All right, here we go. Last one. And that's it. All right, and there it is. The 2000 DC Comics Batmobile. Now this design is completely different from the 1940s version Batmobile and is clearly inspired by Batmobiles from the early 2000s comic books. Though I had a hard time finding a comic book that this was in specifically. Put it down in the comments below if you find out which Batman comic book this Batmobile came from. To me, this one feels like a mishmash of Batmobiles from different eras, all rolled into one. And here's why. Up front, you've got a bat head nose, which you'll find on Batmobiles from the 40s and 50s comic books. You've got this bubble-styled canopy that's similar to the classic 60s TV Batmobile. In the back, the huge tail fins and rear turbine are clearly inspired by the 89 Batmobile. The whole design is a little bit too toy-like for my taste. But that being said, it does have some details that collectors will get a kick out of, so let's take a closer look. Starting with the engine, which sits under this translucent hood that opens up. It's all chromed out, but what's cool is that front turbine actually has a rotating gear when you move the car. That is a mechanical feature that I know diecast collectors will appreciate. Moving toward the center, the canopy is removable, though you do want to be careful when taking it off not to break it. Once it's off, you get a clear view of the cockpit, which is laid out more like a fighter jet. Batman would of course sit up front, and behind him is where Robin would sit. You get a bat logo on the steering wheel and some decent molded gauges. Not a ton of detail, but it fits the style. With the canopy still off, you can also see the rear turbine thruster section, which has a moving internal gear as well. Now, are these mechanics accurate? I have no idea, but let's pretend they are. Either way, it's a fun, functional feature, whether you're a kid playing with it or a collector who loves moving parts. Now, the rear of the Batmobile is where things feel more familiar. The large fins have that classic Batwing shape, and of course, what's a Batmobile without a rear turbine exhaust? Now, the side of this Batmobile is probably what throws me off the most. They're a bit too plain for my taste, and that covered wheel Futurama look isn't really my favorite. Let me know in the comments if you're with me on that. Although I will admit, it does give this Batmobile a very unique silhouette. Underneath, again, there isn't much to talk about, but just like the 1940s version, you do get a really cool sculpted Batman molded into the base. Construction-wise, this one again is mostly die-cast metal, with of course plastic being used for the interior and engine components, and we have rubber for the tires. Oh, and I forgot to mention that neither of these two Batmobiles have steerable wheels or any type of suspension. Now, if you go online, you'll find that there was also a version of this Batmobile that came with a Bat communicator, a handheld toy device with a screen where you press a button and Batman actually talks.
Danger lurks in every corner of this city.
My version didn't come with a Bat communicator, but as far as I can see, the Batmobile is exactly the same. All right, so there you have it. Two Batmobiles that I never knew existed. And that's what's so cool about this hobby. You're always learning and you're always discovering something new. These are the kind of pieces that remind me why I love collecting. And as bonus, because they're die-cast and they're 1/18, they're gonna fit perfectly in my Batmobile collection. Let me see if I can put them all together for you. All right, you've got to admit this lineup of Batmobiles is pretty cool to see all together. Now, I'm still missing a few, but I'm gonna need a much bigger Batcave if I get any more. All right, guys, that's it for today. If you wanna see more awesome diecasts like these, I've got plenty more for you to watch right here. Hit that subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.